Hello and welcome to the Reasons I'm Broke podcast, bringing you the reasons we're broke, ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more. I'm Emperor Kelli.
And I'm Daniel.
And for those of you joining us for the very first time, welcome to the best show on the internet. I am making that claim. It is the best, in my opinion. And I am Emperor Kelli, so it is the truth. But the way we format our show is first we're going to start out with some news for you guys. This ranges from comics. We got some big movie news, television news, and we follow up with a comic book highlight or two of the week.
How's your week been so far?
Busy. So currently, I'm on day 7 of 8 in my work week. But it's almost my weekend. Of course, by the time you guys hear this podcast, I will be working a great many number of hours again. But it's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, mine's been pretty good too. The allergies hit me straight on, stronger than ever this week. So I'm on Claritin, and that's helping a little bit. But at least I'm not sounding super nasally like I did last year at the exact same time when this happened.
Well, last year you were trying to tough it out without taking medicine, and I'm like, just take fucking medicine, you'll feel better. And you're like, no, I can beat this.
Not only was it a thing about beating it, I'm thinking maybe my body can get used to whatever it's fucking allergic to.
No, it's allergies.
And just say, you know what, we've adapted to this just like we have disease, and we've learned it, no longer a problem. But if you take Claritin, it numbs it to that adaptation. But clearly that's not the case, and it doesn't work that way.
Like, okay, so when you get chickenpox, you have to take antibiotics to get over them, but then you never get chickenpox again. Like, the antibiotics still work. It doesn't, like, numb you from chickenpox, then you get them again.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And my body's not going to get used to the allergies at all. It's just going to... Claritin is so fucking expensive, though. That's the thing about it. Every pill is like $3 that averages out to. It's insane.
But if you feel better, then it's worth it. It's better than AIDS pills.
Claritin D. If you want to live your life, pay us $3 a day.
Well, and at least the good thing is you only have allergies for like a month and a half out of the year.
Sometimes 2 to 3. One good thing about it, something that got me through the week, was we finally finished off our Batman Superman cereal.
Yes! That stuff is so good. They have Superman Caramel Crunch and Batman Chocolate Strawberry.
I posted up a picture of which one was our favorite, and both of us agreed on it. The Caramel Crunch was more delicious than the Batman one. Is that one of the few cases in which Superman does beat Batman?
No.
Is it in cereal?
Of course not. Batman didn't want to be the favorite of everybody. He's like, no, just leave me alone. So I'm going to be Chocolate Strawberry.
Chocolate Strawberry is still really good, but it is pretty sweet. And for me, I'm not crazy about super sweet cereals. And the Caramel Crunch kind of offsets that a little bit. Now, something I've heard and people were telling me, it makes complete sense. If you mix the Caramel Crunch and the strawberry together, the chocolate strawberry, both cereals in one, it's supposed to be really good.
So it's trying to tell you that Batman and Superman together are an amazing, unstoppable force.
And that that cereal, in the world of cereal, Superman loves Batman also. They belong together.
In Superman's mind, yes.
During breakfast. Or at night, whenever it is you eat cereal.
Whenever. I eat cereal at both times.
If you haven't gotten any of the cereal, it is still available. I've seen it at Target. It's from General Mills. And they have both Batman and the Superman cereal. Some of them come with a free comic. I've seen some combos.
Yeah? The
one we got was just the cereal. It was probably because it was a smaller box. But we ended up getting both, and we definitely want to get some more before they pull it out of stores.
We got them just because we wanted to try them, because why not? Batman and Superman, we'll support that shit all day. But they were really, really good. Definitely recommend both of them.
So enough with breakfast, on to the actual news. And we're going to kick it off with what tore up the internet for at least an afternoon. Actually, less time than I expected, given what the big reveal was. And that was the Captain America Civil War's latest trailer.
If you haven't seen this, I guess it's a spoiler, so skip forward a little bit. I feel like everyone should have seen this at this point, though. It's kind of hard to keep it away. But they did make a pretty big reveal, had people flipping out. I remember I found out about it because my Facebook just exploded.
With pictures straight on, so they didn't even give you a chance of having this be not spoiled for you. And that was the picture of Spider-Man. They revealed Spider-Man at the very end of the trailer. They revealed it when you saw the thumbnail. They revealed it on your friend's update when they said, hey, Spider-Man gets revealed in this. Oh my god, Spider-Man. Oh, well, great. Now I know what the fucking trailer has.
It's in there.
So I couldn't enjoy it without having seen the character first. So I watched the trailer. Most of it was sort of what we've seen before. It's Bucky running away. He's doing things that is pissing off Iron Man and some of the Avengers. And of course, Captain America has to protect his friend. So Bucky, the Winter Soldier, is the heart of this movie. The one that Captain America wants to protect from the government, and the government's at the same time also saying, you have to register yourself to this government list. Superheroes are dangerous, you're all vigilantes.
So yes, exactly like you said, pretty similar to the other trailers we've seen. Just, I hate him, we're all evil. I don't know, that's pretty much what I feel like. But the way they revealed Spider-Man, I thought was handled pretty cool, because they're all facing off, and they're all like, we hate each other. Pew! There goes his shield. Captain America's shield, guys, in case you didn't know.
As opposed to the other superhero on that team with a shield.
It could happen. I'm just clarifying.
Wonder Woman is actually on there. Okay. I don't know if you saw her.
Cool, yeah. Anyway, pew! The shield's gone, and then there's Spider-Man, and he's holding the shield! That's what Facebook blew up about.
They lifted this Spider-Man straight out of the video games. It was so CGI and kind of rubbery looking. It was a little weird. I'm hoping that at least improves before the movie releases. They do still have until May. And I'm not knocking it for them using CGI at all, because for him to land that perfectly and pose it just how they want to market it, you have to do a computer. But when you actually see the guy in costume, I want to see like the darker tones, not as bright red, where you can't see the individual webs as you did in the CGI shot.
They couldn't do silly strings like pew!
Oh, like Crouching Tiger and Dragon.
Yes. That'd be great. They should have done that instead.
Was any part of you expecting Spider-Man to be Miles Morales or the Iron Suit Spider?
No, I knew they were going to do regular old Spider-Man.
If you're going to market this movie at all, you're going to do regular Spider-Man. That's what they did that deal with Sony for. And if they even have the Iron Spider at all in it, it's going to be for a very minimal amount of time, because regular Spider-Man in the red and blue is very iconic, and that's the one that people know from around the world.
Beyond that, too, Miles would never be on Iron Man's side.
Well, neither will Peter Parker. I'm sure by the end of it, just like the comic, he'll end up flipping on over to Captain America's side.
Oh, I don't know. I never read the comic. I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to see the movie.
All you need to know about the comic, and it's not going to spoil the movie, because I guarantee you, you can tell from the trailer that the comic is very much different from the movie. One, you can't use characters like the X-Men or the Fantastic Four, so they had to build a better story. And if you go back and read Civil War, or if right now you went to the comic shop in the last couple of months and read Civil War thinking, you know what, I want a good idea of what this movie's going to be, read the book first and then check out the movie. Once again, trust me, it's not going to be like the book. Very, very few things are going to come straight out of the comic. You've got your Civil War, your Registration Act with the superheroes. You've got Spider-Man, who may reveal himself to the world, like in the comic book.
Like, zoop. Here's my junk.
It shoots web too.
This is my penis. That would cause some problems for any future relationships. Yes.
It would. But the other thing too, the biggest stuff, are that in the book, Captain America does die, which they may flip it on over to Iron Man to give Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. an out from the movies, because he's now going contract by contract, and he's getting more and more expensive with each one of these.
I'm sure.
And two, with the Winter Soldier, such a huge focus on him in this, and in Civil War, I don't remember him being in it at all. Except for the Captain America tie-in comics, I'm sure he popped up there, but in the main story, he was not imperative to that. So that's already telling you that the plot is going to be vastly different.
We did ask you, Brokettes, though, what you thought of this trailer, and we got some of your responses.
First, we have Facebook Brokettes. This one comes from Neil. I'm excited. The more I see, the more I want to see this movie. Scarlet Witch versus Vision, especially given their relationship in the comics, Ant-Man riding an arrow, Spidey as the secret weapon. This is going to be a fun ride.
Are Scarlet Witch and Vision, like, in love?
In the Ultimate Universe, they are, but
yes.
Actually, in the comics, too. I'm thinking of, I was thinking of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
They're siblings.
Yes, and in the Ultimates, they're in love.
No! There's a lot of manga like that.
Because controversy sells comics.
Next, we have Christopher, who says, that suit defines what Spider-Man should have been this whole time in movies. All it took was Marvel. To
be fair, it's not like the Sony Spider-Man movie suits looked like completely different than what the comics did. They did a really good job adapting the comic books over to the big screen. I think Amazing Spider-Man 1 was the only one that was a little off because his eyes were yellow. But other than that, all the other suits looked really good, and this one looks fine also.
I thought all three of those were off because Spider-Man was Tobey Maguire.
Well, don't forget the two previous ones, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2.
I never saw those.
Yeah, they were... Some people liked them. They went for like a younger actor, or at least he looked younger. But in the movies, I think by the time he was done, he was 31.
Whoa!
So it was still not someone in high school.
You're right.
But the suit also looked okay, and it looked fine back with Spider-Man 1, when that was the best superhero movie of all time at the time.
I remember that. I went and saw it in theater like 3 times just for the upside down rain kiss.
We do have to remember, Brokettes, that this is still not even straight out of the book Spider-Man. They added some black accents and some black plating to his arms. If you go back and look at it, check out the high resolution, the high def screenshots of that Spider-Man shot, and there are some black plates right along his arm underneath, and it's a little tough to see, but I think when you can see it in better lighting, it'll show up better in the actual movie. So even when they come out with the action figures and all the t-shirts, that's another spot where you'll start seeing the differences in this Spider-Man suit.
Our next comment comes from Eric, who says, "Loved it. Although as a personal preference, I wish they kept Spidey as a surprise for when the movie released. Movie theaters would have gone nuts."
I completely agree with Eric.
Me too.
Thought that they were going to hold off until the movie released.
I think that would have been a smarter option. I mean, I don't know what this movie has planned. I don't know. I mean, I've read the script, and this is the biggest reveal. But definitely, if they had saved it for that movie, it would have been very similar to the moment in the second Batman movie. The name's escaping me.
Batman Returns or The Dark Knight?
The Dark Knight. It would have been that moment when Gordon took off his helmet. And everybody went, "Ah!" And Gordon went, because we missed it 4 times. It would have been very, very similar to that.
I don't see what the point of this particular reveal was for
Make
Spider-Man.
Make people more excited for it.
People that are already following Civil War know that Spider-Man was going to show up in the movie. Although this might be the only official confirmation that we've gotten, because I don't think Marvel Studios or Sony ever officially said that he was going to be in Civil War. I could be wrong, but even if they did already, there's definitely... Putting Spider-Man in the trailer is not going to have more people go to the movies. This was already going to do very well on its own.
I don't know. It's to get people hyped. I don't really know why they did this.
I'm going to go back to the same defense that I had for Batman v Superman. We're within 6 months of the movie releasing, so you're going to start seeing the trailers are going to reveal more and more. As we saw less than 2 months ago, about maybe 3 months ago, they showed off Doomsday in Batman v Superman. We were within 6 months of the movie releasing. Avoid the trailers if you don't want spoilers. Same goes with Spider-Man. If you didn't want that Spider-Man reveal, which again, it's going to be a little difficult to avoid because people are making it their Facebook defaults and making it their wallpaper.
And you're listening to this podcast.
Oh yeah, but at least you can hear what Spider-Man looks like or what he moved like, even though there's already GIFs out there of that too.
You can't hear what Spider-Man looks like.
You can't hear what he sounds like.
No, I don't think you can hear what he looks like either.
So for that, I'd say avoid all the trailers moving forward, including this one. But it's all just to market it to people who aren't following it as closely, and probably younger audiences who say, "Oh, look, Spider-Man's in this now."
They got it real relevant back on social media again, too. So maybe there were some people who were kind of excited for it, but not really following it. And then, like me, your Facebook just blows up with all this stuff. And then you're seeing the excitement of other people and thinking you need to be excited, too.
Especially now with the ramping up into Batman v Superman, Disney probably wanted to cut off some of that and say, "Hey, we're still here, check this out."
Greedy. Trying to get all the views.
Next Facebook Broket reaction is from Jordan, who says, "I love the new Spidey suit. It reminds me of Ditko's design with the smaller eyes and spider symbol. Did you notice the web cartridges on his belt?"
You did.
No longer the Ultimate Spider-Man where he makes the webs coming out of his wrist. He actually creates them.
Or his penis.
Or his penis, apparently.
And this last comment is my favorite. It comes from Tim, who says, "Captain America holds his shield like a bitch."
He did let that go pretty quickly.
He probably wasn't prepared. He was just chillaxing there.
It's around the way he holds it, it's around his arm.
Okay.
And he's holding it on top of that.
Okay. Maybe he relaxed his hand into it and zoop. Like, if you're holding your cell phone, I could walk up and just take it.
In reality, you know what would have happened? They would have taken Captain America with him, and it would have been as cool of a shot.
Whoa! Can you, like, catch Captain America, too? Like, princess style?
Hey, everyone.
Awesome.
We also have some Twitter reactions.
First one comes from @Shawnery25, who said, "It was awesome. Seeing Black Panther in action was, I think, the highlight of the trailer. Hashtag Team Iron Man.
Black Panther caught up to that motorcycle, caught up to the Winter Soldier. We still haven't heard Black Panther either, but we're getting little by little more footage of the Black Panther. And you're starting to see more merchandise, too. Team Iron Man, I'm Team Cap. I don't know about you.
I have to watch this movie first before I can make my decisions. I have learned not to make my decisions about movies prior to seeing them because you hold it over my head for years.
Yes, I do.
Yes,
I don't forget.
You do. You remind me of them.
We also have @CubanSlim, who said, I'm very surprised and maybe confused as to why they dropped Spidey in the trailer. I would have preferred that a secret. However, this now lets us know something else will be secret and will be the payoff in the film. Major character death?
It could happen.
Still thinking Iron Man.
I want the secret to be Stan Lee as Spider-Man.
Old Spidey. Someone actually photoshopped where the Spider-Man suit, where the eyes sit, and where the person's eyes would have to be for you to even be able to see through the mask. And they're completely separated, so they're like, oh, so I guess the actor got some work done before this movie.
They still have the opportunity to change that prior to its release. They're going to take all these comments and then pull a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
And not change the turtles.
No, they changed their noses, remember?
No, people changed their noses, but they kept it exactly the same.
Oh, I thought, or no, when they changed something, like when they were originally aliens or something.
Well, yeah, they changed that origin. They changed the Shredder's origin as well, so they added it where it was actually a separate character. Mikey no longer had like this gold chain around his neck.
Yeah, see, they made changes because of people's reactions.
Changes that they could afford, because changing the noses and the character designs, it was too late, especially for a lot of those action scenes. They'd have to redo them completely.
And they did that with Bane, too, because nobody could understand him.
Yeah, the audio post-production.
So you didn't hear...
Yeah, if you go on YouTube, and there's actual comparisons between the IMAX release of Bane and the theatrical release, and it's a huge difference. Even in Tom Hardy's performance, he's a lot more sing-songy and positive in his delivery, so he even changed that a little bit.
Overall, I don't think this reveal was really needed, but it definitely got people talking about it again, and of course that's why we're talking about it here on the podcast, so I guess it did its job.
Did its work, it's marketing. But of course, even though it's Marvel, even though it's Disney,
of course,
not everyone will be happy with this Civil War trailer, or Civil War in general.
And so that brings us to this week's Nerd Rage Reaction! For those of you who don't know what this is a person who is unhappy with things in life and chooses to let the world know of their disgruntled thoughts so that we can laugh at them and then share them with you for a good laugh as well.
So we pick out a comment, and I literally just copy and paste it straight on here. So here we have this week's, or at least this person's, for this particular trailer, their unhappiness, their reaction.
That kind of looked a lot like the first trailer, except with a really bad-looking Spider-Man added to the end.
Look here, Nerd Rager. No one needs to point out the truth, okay? We're not looking for that. We're just looking for happy reactions and excitement.
Yes.
That's all Disney wants. We know it's exactly like the other trailers. We know the Spider-Man looked kind of weird and video gamey and rubbery. But people don't care. They saw Spider-Man. That's what they wanted to see. And they got official confirmation through the trailer. One, what he would sound like. And two, what he would actually look like.
So, rather than a Nerd Raid reaction, this is kind of like speaking the truth reaction.
Nerd Truth reaction?
Yes, there you go. Perfect. Thank you for bringing this to light, because I had no idea, Nerd Rager. And regardless, they will still see this movie.
Flipping on over to DC and the small screen, the CW has renewed DC's Legends of Tomorrow, The Flash, Arrow, and iZombie for new seasons to begin this fall.
The press release we received said the CW has become home to some of the most critically acclaimed shows on broadcast television, with a wide array of fantastic scripted series across the week, ranging from musical comedy to superhero action to gritty sci-fi dramas, said Mark Pedowitz, president of the CW network. As we continue to further our strategy of more year-round original programming, picking up these 11 series for the 2016-2017 season puts us in a great position of having proving high-quality shows to launch in the fall, as well as mid-season and summer of 2017.
Out of any of the shows that were renewed, would you have knocked out any of them and maybe replaced it for something else?
Legends of Tomorrow and Arrow.
I know you don't like Legends of Tomorrow.
I don't even watch it anymore. I gave up.
but it's doing fine in ratings.
But I gave up. I don't want to see it.
Arrow's always doing great.
Goodbye, Arrow. I do not care.
But the CW, as they're saying, they are now the superhero hub for television.
Well, they are.
They are dominating television. I mean, Disney has Netflix, but the CW, with all the ad revenue they get on all of these television shows, they're completely happy being where they are.
Oh, I'm sure. And we talk about it multiple times, but The Flash and iZombie, those are great shows. Do they have Lucifer too?
No, that's Fox.
Okay.
So chances are Lucifer is not going to get a second season.
No, I love Lucifer.
But iZombie and The Flash, like you said, are very, very good. The Flash is the best of all of those superhero shows. Mm-hmm. To think that it spun off of Arrow and it was almost just a secondary character on that show is almost astounding, because now they're trying... Because of the way that Flash elevated superhero shows for everyone on television, now they have to try to bring that to Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow. Legends of Tomorrow getting to season 2, I'm still betting we'll see Constantine on that team next season.
Fine, I'll watch Constantine, but I'm not watching these other lamos.
We're not watching Arrow, but apparently they keep name-dropping him in that. But they're still not using Constantine.
When they use Constantine, I'll watch Arrow. That one Arrow episode that we watched with Constantine, that had like 2 minutes of Constantine, but I still watched it. That's the only time I'll watch it.
Sat through the awful acting.
It was terrible. Constantine was the best part.
Legends of Tomorrow, too, also has some pretty weak acting, but it's... I mean, there's parts we like out of it, and or at least for me. I know you're no longer watching it.
Nope. I have to save all my watching space for Lucifer and Chef Ramsay shows... and Grandfathered, and that's it. I've heard The Bachelor is good. I need to start watching The Bachelor.
Oh, jeez.
And Awkward's getting another season. That actually came on 2 days ago, and I've missed it. And The Mindy Project. Those are my shows.
You can definitely watch all of those. You can keep those.
That's fine. I'll watch them. I'm not going to share with you, even though they're fantastic shows.
2 actors that have defined 2 of the most iconic characters in not only in comics, but also in movies and television, are returning, because without these 2 individuals, you cannot make a movie like this.
Both Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill have been officially confirmed to reprise their roles as Batman and the Joker in the upcoming Batman the Killing Joke animated movie adaptation. Well, duh.
You have to.
No matter
what they ask for, what you are afraid of paying them, you have to get these 2 back for this.
They came out and said, yeah, we're not going to have them. Then I'd be like, so you don't have a movie? There's not going to be a movie anymore?
Did you cancel the whole thing? What happened?
Were they really sick? You couldn't just hold off until they got better?
Mark Hamill, out of the 2, has been the one that, when he retired back in Arkham City like 17 years ago, he said that he would only come back to do the Joker again if they did a Killing Joke movie.
Okay, well, here it is.
And of course, since then, he's done Arkham Knight. He's going to be in Justice League Action.
Of course.
And he's been expressing how he's wanted to do the Killing Joke for many years. He's actually read pages straight out of the Killing Joke at live panels when he was asked.
That's so cool.
And he did, and it was crazy amazing. But now it's just, they're officially confirmed. Kevin Conroy was the one that wasn't saying anything, and he's always the one that spoils all of his work.
Because he had to hire a guy to take over his Twitter so he wouldn't be spoiling things. That's what happened.
There was a picture of the 2 together about a month ago, and typically when voice actors post that, it's usually they're working on a project together. It's not that they just happen to be hanging out somewhere, and no, it's not the case.
What'd you do if they came back and they're like, so we're working on a new Star Wars show?
And Kevin Conroy's in it, I guess?
We've cast Kevin Conroy as somebody. I don't know.
Well, I'd still watch that, but for this, I assumed that it was for Justice League Action. Like, they were already doing stuff for that, like this early on, especially if they're going to come out with this.
This is bigger than the SpiderMan reveal.
Yeah, for us it is, yeah. Because you have actual Batman and actual Joker in this movie for The Killing Joke, which goes down for many as one of the best comics of all time.
The Killing Joke was written by Alan Moore with art by Brian Boland in 1988 as a one-shot graphic novel.
Many consider this the definitive Joker origin and story, and also one of the best comics, Batman stories also ever published.
It did win Best Graphic Album in the 1989 Eisner Awards.
Huge to get an Eisner. The direct-to-video adaptation will release sometime this summer.
Not soon enough.
No, not at all. And Alan Moore, who obviously gets... I mean, he's got tons of work. He's got Swamp Thing, but the Killing Joke is probably the one that he gets asked the most about. And he's gone on record since he's done the Killing Joke that he doesn't like the story anymore. Like, now that it's so big, and he's probably going to be mostly recognized for that, they're saying, he's like, you know what? I thought the story was kind of weak, and the characters, I didn't write them too well. They weren't very relatable as characters.
When he sees those zeros on that paycheck, he will love it again.
I'm sure he's liking it just fine, but he's one of those artists that, because the work is more revered than the rest of the stuff that he did, now he doesn't like it. And it's almost like a contrarian nature to some artists when their work gets so big that they're like, but look, I've got all these other things that people aren't saying are as big. Like, look at Swamp Thing. And yeah, people love that, but the Killing Joke, he must get that signed. Everyone brings that up for him to get signed. When he did Barbara Gordon, if you haven't read the Killing Joke, this is the story in which she does become crippled. And it was such a big story that they made it a part of DC continuity. This was just, as it said, a one-shot graphic novel, not necessarily a part of the Batman universe, but it was so well received and sold so well that they made it, and it still is a part of the Batman universe. Even with the New 52, that remained unchanged. A lot of the Batman stuff remained unchanged. But Alan Moore was saying that when he brought up that he wanted to cripple Barbara Gordon, that one of his editors said, yeah, that's fine. Cripple the bitch. Like, those were the exact quotes.
Whoa!
And he's coming out and saying all this. I'm like, dude, if you don't like your work, that's fine. If you are upset that this one piece, you'll never write something better than this, okay. But now to, like, start bringing up all this other stuff from the past, bringing up names, specific names, too, about this, and how you're criticizing your own work, and he's like, I wouldn't have crippled her if I could redo it, is something that it kind of astounds me, even. I'm not a writer, but it's such a weird thing to do.
Yeah, it's like, why not just accept the praise? Even if you don't like it, don't knock it down. Just be like, okay, thanks. That's it. That's all you gotta do.
It's like Bruce Timm when he was talking about Mask of the Phantasm. He's like, yeah, it wasn't that good. Like, it could have been better.
It was amazing. Shut up, Bruce Timm. You don't know what you're doing. We do have somebody else, though, who doesn't think this is that good either.
Next Nerdrate reaction says, I know most people are going to go gaga over this, but I would have preferred some fresh blood for this. Hamill and Conroy have been great, but I just think this particular story would benefit from a clean slate with no associations to previous Bat projects, least of all Batman the Animated Series.
So, you didn't want Batman and Joker in this?
Maybe he wanted, like, Dick Grayson Batman instead in there?
Okay.
And then, like, a different Earth Joker?
Or the Jokers from Batman Beyond? Maybe that's what he wanted. Maybe that's the story he thought this was.
But that still connects to Batman the Animated Series.
But he just didn't want those voices. He didn't want Batman and Joker in there. He just wanted something different.
And it would be a personal project for him, because he said people are going to go gaga over this, so it's going to sell tons.
Yeah, of course.
But he personally would have wanted something, like you said, the Jokers or Dick Grayson, so that he could be the sole copy sold when this...
Maybe he wanted futuristic Damian Batman. That has nothing to do with the animated series.
Mm-hmm.
And Bozo the Clown? I don't know where to go with this.
Some other another clown character that isn't the Joker?
Maybe someone who's just genuinely trying to be funny and Damian's just beating the shit out of him. Maybe that's what he wanted to see.
Clean slate with no associations to previous Bat projects. I guess what he's trying to say is he wants it to be handled kind of like the Dark Knight Returns animated feature, in which they got a voice actor that hadn't done Batman before, RoboCop himself, as opposed to Kevin Conroy.
Okay, but I'm trying to think of the best terms to put this in. Okay, so if you go to a restaurant and order an expensive meal, the most delicious meal you're ever going to eat, would you rather a 5-star Michelin chef cook your meal, who has been cooking for many years and has perfected the art, or a 5-year-old who has never touched a fork in his life?
A 5-year-old with no associations to previous cookery or meals.
Nope. I mean, we could make them a little older. Let's say, like, just typical Burger King worker. Like, maybe they've cooked other food before, but they just had to, like, deep fry it. Not this masterful food that you're about to partake.
I was shocked I was able to find any Nerd Rage reaction at all, because these are all good things. Mm-hmm. They're adapting one of the best stories ever out there and bringing in the best story, the best versions of Batman and the Joker, the best voice actors you can find, the best actors for these roles, and they're putting them all together. If they didn't get Kevin Conroy or Mark Hamill, assholes like you and I would have crucified them.
Yes.
Because why make this unless you can actually get...
We would have been the Nerd Rage reaction.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, why make this if you can't get Batman and Joker themselves to be in this?
Mm-hmm. I agree, absolutely. This Nerd Rage reaction makes no sense. They were probably just cranky and wanted to be heard that day.
There's another group out there that wants to be heard that still won't stop.
Good.
Almost 3 years after Young Justice's cancellation, fans have launched yet another petition.
Good.
But this time to bring the show back as a comic book.
They will take whatever they can get at this point.
I'm thinking this was a comic book, guys, and it did not sell that well. It was written by Art Baltazar and Franco.
Well, this petition's a little different than that, Dan. Come on, get with the times. This petition asked for series creator Greg Weisman to write a comic series to continue storylines left unresolved when the series ended.
Maybe I'm not that big of a Young Justice fan.
Probably not.
I enjoy the show just fine.
I'm a big fan.
I liked Green Lantern the Animated Series way more than Young Justice.
I like that too.
What stories were left unresolved in Young Justice?
Lots of them. So McGann and Connor never got together. And then we never saw Starfire, who they were planning to bring out, so you might as well just continue that so she can be with Dick Grayson. And then Wally West died, Kid Flash, he's dead. How's Artemis going to deal with that? Because they were totes married.
He never came back? Wally West?
No, he's dead. Because then once both that and Green Lantern the Animated Series ended, there came out all these fucking comic books about... Or, I say comic books, like comic shorts on like DeviantArt and stuff of Aya and Wally just like chilling in death, talking about stuff, and I was so sad.
That makes so much sense. I would rather see Green Lantern the Animated Series return.
I would rather see them both return, but I will be happy with whatever I can get. But if they bring back Green Lantern the Animated Series, then they have to put Razor and Aya together like totes for real.
I bet you even if they brought this back as a comic book, it would not do crazy. It would go for maybe a year, and then it would get canceled again.
I mean, probably, but that's a year more of story that we get. They would be smarter to do, like, what Avatar The Last Airbender did, and just bring out those bigger books that are a longer story. That's what they should do, because then that's going to appeal to kids, too, but it satisfies these peeps.
Maybe I'm just tired of hearing Young Justice and all the petitions and all this potential for it to return. I think if it's going to come back, it will come back on Netflix as a season 3. We're not going to get a comic book. We're not going to get a direct-to-DVD movie. It's going to be on Netflix if there is even a season 3. And sure, I want a season 3. I want it to come back, and I'm playing Young Justice all the time on our own Netflix just to get those numbers up on the show, because that is what they're looking at now, to see how well it's doing now that they've added season 2. But if it doesn't return, I'm also... Again, maybe I'm not the biggest fan, but I'm not going to be heartbroken. I've kind of gotten over all that.
Yeah, but I applaud these people who are still like, look, it's like my favorite show ever, bring it back.
And this week we also have a bit of comic book news on the DC side.
Justice League 50 was originally scheduled for an April release, but according to DC's website, it is now scheduled for May 25th, the same day as their Rebirth releases.
This also pushes back Justice League number 51 to June 8th, which is a few weeks into Rebirth.
I don't know why they did this.
This is almost Forever Evil all over again.
Yeah, and that was terrible.
I love Forever Evil, but the delays were not good.
The delays were Forever Evil.
I know a lot of customers that did not want to read Forever Evil because of the delays. They did not want to read the last issue, the last 2 issues. We're getting that with delays now with the Dark Knight 3, The Master Race, which was going to be their huge seller for late last year and early this year. Justice League with the Darkseid Wars doing extremely well, but now we have delays on that end. Now I know some of that is because Jeff Johns' last issue will be number 50, and they're moving him on over to the Rebirth title so he can focus on those so that they have a decent launch for that. But now you're delaying this one as well, with a book potentially releasing weeks into Rebirth. If you want to give this a number 52 issue for Justice League, now you're going to have that even more, maybe a month or 2 into Rebirth, when we may already have a Justice League number 1.
It's going to confuse a lot of people. And they're going to be unhappy, and they're going to be nerd raging.
There's no winning on this end, and this is why this delay sucks, because if they stop at number 51, people are going to feel like their collection's incomplete, because everything else that started in the New 52 got their number 52 issue.
Right.
And not Justice League.
They're not going to stop it at 51. They will stop it at 52. They're just going to confuse a lot of people. But then the question stands, like, do they then go ahead and push back Justice League number 1?
And then that's going to throw off the rest of the numbers, too, because it's not going to be in line with the rest of the Rebirth comic books. God damn it. Like, Justice League Darkseid War is huge, and the Dark Knight 3 is huge. You're not going to make sure that you have the best guys there that are not going to give you your delays. You're not going to make sure that you're watching these things like a hawk, especially since you are being outsold more than 2-1 at this point by Marvel.
Somebody dropped the ball. It's going to cause a lot of issues, and we've seen this from them before. You're right, they should have had their top guys on this, but at this point, what else can they do?
Let us know what you think, Brokettes, if you are picking up the Dark Knight 3, or if you are scheduled on for Justice League. What do you think about these delays? How much does the delay actually hurt you when you're not getting the issue every single month, when you're not seeing the continuation of the story for sometimes 2 to 3 months later? Let us know on Twitter at ReasonsI'mBroke or Facebook.com/TheReasonsI'mBroke.
But guys, that does do it for our news this week. Now we can move into our Patreon shout-out.
This week, a huge thanks to Bobby on Twitter at CubanSlim. Make sure to follow him to get the latest in Amiibo news. He's a huge Amiibo hunter.
For those of you listening going, what's a Patreon? And I want to shout out too. What this is these are just people who support us monetarily. Can be as little as $1 a month, which adds up to 25 cents an episode. Adds up is divided into equals 25 cents an episode. And that just helps us cover our costs for the show. It also puts us towards more goals to put out a better show for you guys as well.
Speaking of which...
Yes!
We have surpassed our first goal. We have gotten to our first goal.
Finally!
This means that our monthly upload costs are covered for the show. We get advanced statistics for the download, so we know where Brokettes are, which states are getting the most downloads, and also statistics as to which sites or which social media networks are getting us the most listens and clicks and all of that.
Awesome.
All of which is very important for the background workings of the podcast and to getting more Brokettes out there to tune in. More importantly, though, it also gets us more space as far as uploading.
Yay!
So when we do get to our next goal, which is our Alphonic audio, we have the space to upload all of the larger files from the Alphonic website.
What Alphonic is, guys, is it just creates a clearer sound for you all. Which episode most recently had it?
Last week's.
Last week. So if you go back and listen to last week and compare it to this week, my melodious voice sounds a little bit better last week than this week. But we do want to preface, guys, our show will always be free. We do this for you. We do this to interact with you. But for those of you who choose to support us, and everyone who listens to us, thank you. But for those of you who support us, we do like to just give you a shout out and express our thanks.
If you want to back us on Patreon, the website is patreon.com/TheReasonsI'mBroke. You can also find the link at TheReasonsI'mBroke.com. We also want to thank DecalAvenue.net for giving us the support for our rewards.
So once again, guys, thank you so much. Now we can move into our single comic book highlight of the week.
We always like to highlight the number ones when they release. That way you know if you should get into a brand new series. And this week we've got one from Marvel and Disney. Well, they're the same thing now, but Haunted Mansion number 1, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Jorge Coelho, and colors by Jean-Francois Belleau.
I had a lot of mixed emotions about this comic.
I wanted to as well, because I love the Haunted Mansion ride, and I love the theming of that entire lore and story. But I was disappointed by this.
I was too. So, first off, you can definitely tell that this is a comic aimed towards children.
Yeah, I guess so. It could be. I mean, it's in that same line as Disney Kingdoms, and that is aimed at teenagers.
Okay, well, I mean, anything younger than me is a child. I call people like my own age children. So, yeah, it's definitely aimed towards teenagers. It follows around a boy who's scared of everything and then ultimately has to end up in the Haunted Mansion to save his grandfather, lumberjack? Lumberjack grandfather? He looked like a lumberjack.
He was like an explorer, went all over the place. There were other references to Disney rides in that. The Matterhorn,
Yep.
it was in there. And if you're a Disney file, you're going to love this. I mean, no matter how terrible the story was, you're going to love it regardless, because people that love Disney love whatever they put out. And in this case, with Haunted Mansion #1, they clearly went through the ride and said, okay, we need to include this part, this part, this part, and this part in the story. What's the easiest and laziest way we can do it?
Pretty much.
Oh, he gets scared and he runs around the Haunted Mansion. Oh, there's the piano from the ride. There's the paintings that come to life. There's the elevator with the statues. Every single thing is just
stretching.
Just touched up upon and not really given the attention it needs. And I know this is just a 5-issue miniseries, but if you're going to do the Haunted Mansion, like, at least try to give a damn. Don't just put in the highlights of each of the ride portions. You could have spread that throughout the entire comic. That's what I would have done. If I were writing Haunted Mansion, the beginning would have been just like the ride, fine, where you see the stretching room and the elevator. And you continue it until you've covered all of the major landmarks in the Haunted Mansion while telling your story.
What I would have done, if it were me, is I would have started out with the story of the Haunted Mansion. So when you ride the ride, of course, for those of you who know, you go in and the guy's essentially telling a story, and there's a big lore behind it and an entire story for the particular attraction of, oh, and I don't even remember it. I remember it being so cool. I haven't heard it in, 7 years now? It's been a long time. But essentially, there's this mansion owner, and his butler is there, and ultimately his butler kills himself, and that's what you see in the beginning of the ride that always makes the kids scream. So I would have started out with that story. Like, let's go back in time, let's see the mansion when it was alive and bustling, and all these different people lived there, and see ultimately in the end when everybody died. And I mean, obviously you wouldn't see the guy hanging there, but you would understand that that's what happened. Then skip ahead where you have everybody talking about, oh, I think this is what it's about, or I think this is what it's about, and then continue your story from that point.
So many better ways that Haunted Mansion could have been handled, but it's still sold out. #1s are gone. It's going to a second printing. The other comic that did this as well was Figment. Figment sold out, went to a second, went to a third printing, and that's a lesser ride than the Haunted Mansion. So this one being that much more important, because it is the Haunted Mansion, should have had way more care and much more talented work behind it.
I agree. We'll check out the second issue and maybe they'll start to get their shit together. But overall, same boat as you. I really, really wanted to like this, and I was excited to see those iconic scenes from the ride because it's one of my favorite rides. But ultimately, it was just lazily written.
And I don't know who makes the decisions on these. Maybe they said, this is going to sell no matter what. Just put whoever you want on it. Don't need to get any A-listers for this one. It's going to do fine. Let's just try to up our sales numbers while keeping our spending down. And maybe that's why Marvel's doing so well, because they do stuff like that, and people are still going to sell out of Haunted Mansion #1 and sell through the series because it's just a mini. But to me, it's for someone who really likes the Haunted Mansion, it definitely fell short, unfortunately.
So guys, check it out if you want it. Like I said, we're still going to pick up #2, but don't expect to be thrilled with what you see. Or scared, absolutely not.
So that will do it for our podcast, the news, and our comic book review for the week. The episode will release for everyone outside of the Patreon on Easter, because we always release on Sundays.
Yeah, of course.
So I know you're going to be spending time with your family, but, we're here for download. Make sure to
spend some time with us, too.
Good on you if you're listening to this on Easter Sunday. That's props.
While everybody else is taking a nap after eating all those chocolate eggs and...
Or spending their fucking gift cards. Something I learned when I worked at GameStop was not only for Valentine's Day, and I might have noticed this as well this year, but also for Easter. When I used to work at GameStop, people would come in and buy Easter gifts that were gift cards for GameStop and all this other stuff.
I used to get stuff. I got a Barbie for Easter one year. I used to get chocolates every year. Now I wait for midnight after Easter because then all that chocolate's 50 to 75% off.
See, that's something I didn't even learn until I was an adult, because Easter wasn't like second Christmas for me and my family.
It's not second Christmas. You don't get shit tons of presents.
People got shit ton of presents. People would come in on Easter, and we were open for Easter on at GameStop. And this is going to be the first Easter I don't work, which is going to be a little weird because I've always worked Easter. I've worked at a movie theater. I've worked at GameStop, and those things were always open for Easter. So it was always a nothing holiday. It was always this is going to be super busy day. And that's because kids were coming in, spending their Easter gift cards. People were buying 2 video games as Easter gifts per child. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
No.
It is a second Christmas. No. And the same thing goes for Valentine's Day, except Valentine's Day was like parents would buy them gift cards, which is still weird, but they wouldn't buy them entire video games on Valentine's Day.
The most my parents probably ever spent on me for Easter was like $20 maybe. They weren't buying me 2 video games.
The most we got that I remember was like one of the packaged Easter baskets, like pre-packaged with the chocolates and whatnot, and we were happy. We were like, oh shit.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's my mom would like buy a cheap. No, you know what my mom used to do? She'd buy a basket one year, like after Easter when it went on sale, and I got that same basket for like 10 years.
That's smart.
Yeah, and then she even kept the grass in it. You know how there was always grass? She kept that same grass. Like after 2 years, she'd replace it because it'd be all dusty by then. But she kept the same basket, and I'd get a chocolate bunny and like one or 2 other candies, and that was it. I didn't get anything special. And then one year they forgot about it, and that's when they bought me the Barbie, because they're like, oh shit, we gotta give her something.
Was it for you also where they gave you like the Easter Bunny story, or was it just like, here, we got you this?
No, they're like, here's this chocolate bunny and some other candies. And then once I turned like 15, that was over. I remember one day, I even forgot that Easter was a thing. I don't even remember how old I was. And I woke up on Easter Sunday and walked out like in the dining room, and there was an Easter basket for me. I'm like, since when did we get Easter baskets? When did you? Because I think they had forgotten the year before and they didn't give me anything, so I just forgot about it. And then the next year I was like, oh, this is weird. That was the last year I ever got anything.
Yeah, that's about it. I think the most memorable Easter memories are this, of me working at GameStop. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's $120.
Crazy.
So if you celebrated, good on you. Enjoy this day. If you work in retail, enjoy the day off. Unless you're working at GameStop, because I'm sure you're working also.
Or like the service industry.
Service industry as well, because they don't get a day off. Yep. So enjoy that, and enjoy your time with your family if you do end up using it for that. But otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in. We always like having the podcast up as just like movies and comics, as an escape for all of you. And right now, with all of this negativity we're seeing with politics especially, you're seeing that all over the place. And thankfully, we use comics, movies, TV, games, and more as an escape for all that, and to just kind of...
and more drugs, alcohol.
To just kind of settle ourselves down, and kind of escape everything for a minute, and enjoy the things that we do love, like Batman, and forget for a sec that this real world does exist, and unfortunately, not everyone can just be Batman for whoever out there needs help, or be the Bruce Wayne for the community. It's all up to us, and if we can provide that escape, then awesome.
So once again, guys, thank you so much for listening and so much for your support. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Daniel.
We'll see you next week.